By the age of 17, most of us have just completed high school, begun to think about our futures, and are trying to find our place in the world. But for Greg Martin, the sky is the limit and the spotlight is where he wants to be. A student, comedian, and musician, we take a look at his life in the making of a star, the Greg Martin story.
When I was in middle school, I had always really wanted to play guitar because I was into rock and roll bands, but not like the good kind of rock and roll, like Blink 182 ish nonsense, whatever that was. But when I was a freshman, the Beatles rock band trailer came out, ironically, and when my sister would always say, "Oh, we gotta get the Beatles rock band. We gotta get the Beatles rock band." I was like, "No, the Beatles are terrible. I never really even listened to them." But then I watched that trailer, and I really connected with the music, and they had all these like nice grooves and whatever in all their songs. And so a friend of mine, that's what really, listening to them really wanted me, like so many other people, really wanted me to play guitar. But a friend of mine was in a punk rock band and he had this old guitar he didn't use anymore hanging around at his house. So one day I went over and I said, "You mind if I borrow it?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And then I began teaching myself how to play guitar. I got my first guitar end of my freshman year, which is like summer of 2010. It was a birthday gift, and well, to get it, I made a deal with my parents that if I did really good on my report card at the end of the year, they would purchase me like a guitar I wanted. So my dad took me to Guitar Center one day, and there was this red one on the wall on the side, and I had looked at some other ones, but actually I kind of went to that one first. And I kept it in the back of my mind. And then the dealer tried to show us some other ones, but I said, "Well, what about that one?" And I played it, and I really liked it. And actually, one of the reasons I picked it out was because it was similar to the guitar that George Harrison had in the Beatles. It kind of looked like that. So I was like, "Oh, this is a really cool one." So I played it, and then a few days later, I guess, without knowing, my dad went back and purchased it. And then they gave it to me for a birthday gift. This is my guitar, and the company that makes it is Epiphone, and the model is the Dot, because basically these little dots, which are the frets, I don't know, they were really creative with that name. Um, Epiphone is like kind of a child brand of Gibson, who is like one of the most famous guitar companies in the world, and they make like the Les Paul and the SG, if you know what guitars are. Here we are with the Sony 1976. I don't even know if it's 1976. Whatever it is. Automatic stereo turntable system. Uh, I mean, records are something that you can't find anymore. You have to go burying for them in the Sahara Desert because everyone had to get rid of whatever. Led Zeppelin 2 and Led Zeppelin 4 are always great. I have Led Zeppelin Mothership, which is like a greatest hits, so that's a really good CD. A lot of people say Abbey Road by the Beatles, but that's a great album, of course. But I would say I'm more Revolver from them by that album. Coldplay Parachutes and Coldplay Milo Xyloto, their newest album. Those are pretty good ones. This is my mom's record player, actually from the 70s, but it's basically mine now, even though she wouldn't agree with that. Um, I use it frequently to listen to. Actually, she had a lot of good records I found. So this is one that I listen to frequently. It's Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They're a band from the '60s. If you don't know who they are, you know, of course, the classics. Frank Sinatra is always good. For some reason, there's like every Barbra Streisand record possible in here. Stevie Wonder, fine man. There we go. West Side Story, can't go wrong. I'm trying to see what else is in here. Ba da ba. No, that's not it. Saturday Night Fever, a classic. That has some good songs on it, actually. Help is a good one. For some reason, this is actually my uncle's, and during Vietnam, he was stationed in Germany. So this record is actually in German. Well, not the songs, obviously, but as you can tell from like the writing and stuff, because he bought it in Germany. The Cars, I like to listen to them every once in a while. That's a pretty good one. And then, of course, the prized possession of mine, I guess you could say, is Led Zeppelin 4 on the record. When I first started playing, I primarily was in one area, like classic rock or whatever. But then, like, this past year and the year before, I gradually moved on to more, like, current stuff, like alternative rock and stuff. But primarily, I listen to mostly, like, the Beatles are a big influence, or Led Zeppelin, The Who, The Doors, Black Sabbath. A lot of the current, like, alternative indie artists, like Alabama Shakes, I like them. Phoenix, they're another great band. Trying to think of who else. I think that's mostly it. Well, I don't mind. I listen to a lot of current stuff, like whatever's on the radio, not mainstream radio, but like BRU or HJY. I listen to a lot of that stuff. So a few songs that I always like to play. I always come up here, and it depends really at what mood I am. So if I want to play rock and roll, I'll normally play like Zeppelin, so like Communication Breakdown. AC/DC, I play a lot. That was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Or you know, if I'm feeling kind of Coldplay-ish, I'll play one of their new songs is Charlie Brown, which goes. Or, you know, if I'm feeling in the mood for the Beatles, Day Tripper is always you know, there's a whole bunch of songs that I'll play. I have multiple songs that I've started writing or kind of wrote out. None of them really have names officially yet because I haven't really finished writing. I'll get little parts done. I'll be like, oh, that'll be good, but then I never end up finishing it until there's only like 2 or 3 I finished. But you know, some parts. This one is something I wrote. It's like. They're normally all like fun, easygoing things to play. They're all inspired by different stuff, so I call that one the Steve Miller song because it sounds like the Steve Miller Band. This one kind of has an AC/DC feel to it. before I went to high school, I didn't really have any dreams or aspirations, I guess you could say. Like, acting, I wanted to be an actor, kind of. I was always like, oh, that'd be really fun, but I never really did any acting besides, like, in front of my family or anything like that. And, like I said before, like, I wanted to play guitar before I got into high school, but I never really actually pursued it hard enough. But I kind of had a dream for a while to join the military, but it's not really a big aspiration anymore. When I first entered high school, like I said earlier, acting was still like a big part of kind of what I wanted to do. So I did the first play, and I absolutely hated it. It was probably like the worst experience of my early high school career. It was, no, like, people laugh when I say it, but it was legitimately terrible. I was in it for like 5 minutes, which I'm grateful for those 5 minutes, but the play was some like late Russian play called Summerfolk, and it was just a bad experience for everyone involved. So then I kind of gave up acting, and then towards the end, like spring of freshman year is when I started picking up guitar, and I stayed with that through like sophomore year and a majority of junior year. And then junior year, I met this kid in a class who was like he's the kid who got me into like Coldplay and all that stuff, and he kind of helped me play guitar better. And we were in this class called theater production, where we would basically build the sets for whatever show they had coming up. And I became really close with this kid, and I started realizing like my creativity side, I guess, if that makes any sense at all. Because before that, I did cross country, and I was a sports kid. I always did baseball, basketball, and then at LaSalle, I did cross country and I was running. But then I started realizing that, you know, the kids who I would sit with every day at lunch were sports kids, and I was more of an artistic, creative person, and I couldn't really relate to them at all. So this friend of mine I met in theater production really helped me. And so the end of my junior year, there was a show coming up in the theater, and it was called West Side Story. And my sister and my mom had really liked that show, and I never really heard of it, and I, to be honest, didn't want to do it. But they were like, yeah, go ahead, you know, you should do it, it'll be great. And I was like, oh, alright, might as well try. I ended up getting a pretty good part in the show, and it turned out to be, like, so far one of probably my top 3 favorite memories of high school, because it was, everyone in the cast was so, like, close and loving, and I made so many new friends that I'm still friends with today, even though it's only a year later. So after that, I realized that I really enjoyed doing theater, and I've been involved in 5 more shows since that show.
Now, what about those YouTube videos on your YouTube account?
Hello everyone, I am Matthew Foley. Hell, why? Nah. Everyone. It comes with a compatible system, the Envirotemp. The Envirotemp? What is that crap? Hello everyone, it's Harry Carey. Hi folks, John Manning here. Oops-a-daisy. Oops-a-daisy. That's okay. Oops-a-daisy.
I don't want to talk about that. Where I hope my music career goes, I'm always going to play guitar. Because I thought back about it. I was in, I did jazz band for the school this year. Jazz band and pep band. Pep band is what plays at, like, basketball games, basically, and, like, gets the crowd pumped up. But, both were really fun. And then after we had our last show for jazz band about, like, last week, I think it was, and I was thinking, like, would I stay with guitar in college or whatever? It was just kind of just like a phase I was going through. But I realized that, you know, I really enjoy playing the guitar, and I'm always going to keep it as a hobby to play, like, whenever I have downtime. But I hope to make it something more than just a hobby. Like, it would be cool to start a band, which I hopefully can do this summer. But start a band and then play some shows here and there, and, you know, the ultimate goal would be to get famous, but it's like a 1 in a million chance to get discovered by anyone. So it's always going to be there. I don't know if it will become be the leading part of my life, but, you know, that's whatever happens with that. Graduation, I guess, isn't something I'm particularly looking forward to. It's more of just, like, hanging over my head, and it's like a bad test that you don't study for, but you show up the day of, and you're like, oh, well, I can't do anything about it now, I gotta take the test. But, you know, because next year I'm going to Rhode Island College, and majority of my like close friends are going to like either URI or somewhere out of state. So basically, I know like 4 other people going to Rick, so I have to like adapt to a new atmosphere and stuff. And I'm not one who normally likes change, although sometimes change can be for the better of things. But next year I'm going to Rick. I don't know what I want to major in yet, but there's a few toss-ups. There's theater, there's film studies. Those are the 2 big ones, I guess. Oh, and history. History. I'm a big history person too. But as for the future, what I want to do post-college, I really don't know. It's whatever life takes me, I guess.
Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. And all the things you do, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you. Everything that you do, and it was called yellow. Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. And all the things that you do, well, they were all yellow.
Shine for you. Look how they shine. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. And all the things that you do.